Jay is a character who is known for having minimal screen time, and that leads to very little development from her. However, I'm here to say that in episode 8, she actually did get the justice she deserved, and in the process became the most tragic character we have seen in the show, being rivaled only by V and maybe Doll. But at least V got her happy ending. Jay, on the other hand, did not. That's right, I actually liked Jay in episode 8. Stay tuned for that. Originally, this was going to be just going over episode 8, but I decided to turn this into a full analysis similar to my V video because I've got a decent amount to say about her. So let's get into why that is. Shout out to Uzi PFP and Chicken Man, also known as the #1 Lizzie fan. Promised I'd do that. Okay, anyways, if you've enjoyed the video, remember to like and subscribe, and let's get into it.
Effective drones were cloned more.
Jay is a no-nonsense, company-loyal disassembly drone. With a height slightly above V, she has pigtails and small little bows to keep them together. Her outfit consists of a businessy suit with an undershirt and tie, as well as a short skirt and belt. Compared to the other outfits of the disassembly drones, with N's goofy oversized trench coat and hat, and V's, well, she doesn't really wear much, but I guess crop jacket, that's really it. Those two are very, clearly more relaxed in doing their own thing, while Jay, being the most serious and no-nonsense of the three, is made very clear even in her design, and I think that's really cool. Her personality is of course very serious as well. She's also extremely smug and overconfident, similar to V, except unlike V, who puts it on as a facade and just does it because she likes to annoy people, Jay's is not a facade, and she does it to stroke her ego, making the way the two act very different despite the similarities. She seems to get easily irritated, but this isn't entirely the case. While yes, she does get mad pretty easily, she keeps it in most of the time, and takes charge and deals with it when she can. I wouldn't necessarily call her irritable like I would with V, who is prone to lashing out and being pouty. Jay just kinda seems to always be ticked off, while still being in control. In the flashbacks, she seems to be quite fond of Tessa, pretty much always being by her side, and this is the only time we see her consistently and genuinely care about someone, which makes what happens even more tragic. But to understand her personality more, we need to go over her roles in the episodes. Yeah, I won't be comparing the maid and disassembly drones forms this time because they're pretty similar, and I went over the important points in this overview. We will still get to see her maid form in episode 5 and 2 as well though.
Worker drones are corrupted, and that's why the company sent us.
This is one of her only major roles in the episodes, just being this one, 5, and 8. Tragic, I know, but whatever. In episode 1, she is the main antagonist, a pretty good role for her to start off with. We first see her in the opening sequence, but of course this isn't very important. She's next seen during when N is talking about the team and he brings up Jay, their leader. It then cuts to Jay telling N how worthless he is, showing her, can I swear this early on? I'll censor it. Very bitchy personality. She then is seen next after Uzi escapes and Jay reboots N, but once again, that's not very important. The next actual important scene to her character is during the scene in the bunker. Of course, I'm talking about when N tries to tell her maybe the workers aren't so bad, maybe they could help each other. Jay ends up injecting him with a virus that can kill him. She's so dedicated to the company that she's willing to end someone she grew up with, or that's what it seems like. With the release of episode 8, it is now revealed that Jay and V knew about the solver. Obviously, Jay didn't really like N, she never did, but she saved him before for the sake of Tessa. This is just because she is dedicated to the job Sin has given them, and something we will get into. She sees it as her only choice, which is probably why she went through with trying to kill N. She didn't really see another option, and she wanted to show Sin that she was loyal, I think. So she ends up trying to get rid of N. Uzi, however, removes the virus Jay implanted in him, and Uzi and N end up fighting V and Jay, with them winning, leading to Jay getting killed by Uzi. So that's it, right? Video over? Well, no. While it would seem this would be the end of Jay, luckily they decided to not just end her in the pilot, and we will see her in future episodes. So what can we learn about her from the pilot? Well, she's incredibly loyal to the company. She's going to such extreme lengths to try and kill N, one of her co-workers, and that she is incredibly cold, rude, and calculating. But she sort of comes back in the next episode. Not exactly, but you know, you'll see when I explain it. Before I continue, though, I want to remind everyone to like and subscribe because not a lot of you are, and it helps more than you realize. Yeah, that's really it. Just a short little reminder. Okay, enjoy the rest of the analysis.
Ow. 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 Ow.
Well, her maid form is in episode 2, though that's not what I'm talking about. Just bear with me for a second. Her maid form seems to act incredibly similar to her disassembly drone form and acts like a suck up to Tessa despite being a jerk to everyone else, kicking N and acting sweet around Tessa. This is foreshadowed. She actually seems to care for Tessa, but that's more important in episode 5. Let's go back to that thing I was talking about when I said she sort of comes back. Like I said before, she makes her return in episode 2, though not exactly. See, her body and core comes back, but she's not the one that's in control. When disassembly drones under Sin's administration get destroyed, it seems, their core gets controlled by Sin or the Absolute Solver, and it tries to collect more matter to repair the body if there's not enough already. As we see, with all the worker drones, it ends up killing. This is mostly an exposition to how dangerous and scary the Solver can really be, and there's nothing specifically about Jay to analyze, other than the fact that this shows just how much control the Solver has over the disassembly drones, showing how, like we will learn later, there is no escape from the Solver even in death, and this is why. So keep that in mind when we get to episode 8, even that's a little later in the video.
Radio. Work to do. AJ.
Oh look, another episode where Jay has like no role or anything to analyze. This will become a pattern. But she does actually appear for 5 seconds in the end with Tessa, showing she's alive and came back. Also that she's kind of close with Tessa. That's it. But while you would think that's all I have to talk about with episode 3, no, I'm going to use this time to explain Jay coming back, because this is a common misunderstanding in the community. When a core is destroyed, they have this soul thing, that's their essence or actual soul. Jay's soul is not destroyed, only her physical core, and thus this thing floats off to another core, which is how she comes back in a clone body. Yes, it's still the same Jay, it's not a different Jay with a copied personality, it's the exact same Jay. We see this core essence again in episode 8, with Sin's core being destroyed, and the actual thing that completely destroys Sin is this soul thing. So, transfers her into Uzi, so that kind of proves that, that is important, and that little black circle that floats off at the end of episode 2 is Jay's essence, meaning the Jay in episode 3 and onwards is the exact same Jay as episode 1. Got that? Great. Anyways, episode 4. She doesn't appear, but Tessa's Sin corpse thingy does, so that's cool, I guess. This is an unrelated player! Oh shoot, an episode she actually appears in. Wild. She's actually kind of important in this one too, not being there for only 5 seconds. You love to see it. Anyways, let's get into it. So, first time we see her, she's with Tessa, helping her out with chores and calming her down. When Tessa rubs her hurt arm, Jay gets concerned, showing and confirming once again that Jay doesn't indeed care about Tessa. And this is something that could have and should have been explored more, but, that's something we'll get to later, I guess. I promise I do actually like Jay's representation in episode 8. I promise. Okay? Okay. Luis is being a real meanie and Jay gets big sad. Tessa is being locked up because her parents are abusive and Jay can't let her out because she fears being thrown out if she doesn't follow orders of the parents. And this is something that will rear its head yet again later on, so keep this in mind. Eventually, Sin reveals that she will massacre the gala, including people Tessa cares about, so she actually springs into action and frees Tessa with the two of them going out to stop her. V, under a feral state from the Solver, tries to stop them, and Jay saves Tessa, as well as N, most likely due to Tessa caring about him. After that, they have a small fight, which we don't really see much of because Lord Frontal Bucket interrupts it. Anyways, the next time we see her is when her and Tessa interrupt Sin about to massacre the gala, and Jay gets possessed, closing the door behind Tessa, and this leads to Tessa's unfortunate demise, though we don't see that here. This is the last we see of Maid Jay, and she appears at the end alongside Sin, her disassembly drone form. And Sin is, of course, disguised as Tessa. That's it. Mostly just showing her care for Tessa. But that thing about her fearing being thrown out and discarded if she doesn't follow orders is, once again, going to be very important later on. Okay, on to episode 6.
Of course, boss.
You think there's nothing to say here, but surprisingly, once again, I actually found something to overanalyze, and it all comes from this face, where Jay realized she was being tricked by the Solver, and it'll be important in episode 8. Okay, let's go over it. So, of course, Jay and Tessa do some exposition while explaining to N and Uzi and V what they're trying to do. Doll steals the key bug, they chase her, explain Sin's plans about they want to destroy the labs, etc. Then, here's the important part, Tessa gives Jay the keys and says to mine the ship. Jay makes this face, meaning, in my opinion, she knows what this means, that being Copper 9 is not safe. With the revolution that we knew Jay and V knew the whole time, this is the moment where she really figured out, oh crap, Sin tricked us. Well, they did their jobs on the planet, and yet it will still be destroyed, and V and Jay either go along with it and continue to serve Sin for eternity, or however long disassembly drones live, I don't know, or they die. Luckily, eventually she was defeated, but Jay doesn't think defeating Sin is possible. They were told to do their jobs and they would be left alone, but Jay is finally starting to realize that it was all a lie. And unlike V and N who rebelled, Jay thinks the only way to be safe is to serve the Solver, and she goes along with it. This was not apparent before, but now it is with episode 8, and I can confidently say that's what I think this face means. See how much more her character makes sense if you take the context into episode 8? Yeah. Anyways, she leaves for the rest of the episode. Moving on to episode 7.
Who are you idiots?
Okay, surely I found something like in episode 6. I gotta find something in episode 7 about, like, whoa. This is huge, Jay's character. No, I didn't. First, we see her blowing up the spire, cause I don't know, why not. Lizzie comes in, reveals to Thad the person she was texting wants something to do with Jay, and with it being pretty obvious it was V, well, V clearly has some beef with Jay. We just didn't know why yet. Next time we see her, she gets hit by a bus, and when she sees the railgun, she has something on the screen that says prior hazard, meaning it is indeed the same Jay. That's really all I gotta say. On to the next.
I never needed either of you.
Now, I know many people think they dropped the ball with Jay, specifically thinking she was wasted, one of the worst character in the series, etc. Now, I do think there's a lot of missed potential, and there definitely could have been a route they did instead that I would have liked better. That being, she did know Tessa was Sin, but halfway through she decided to turn on Sin and actually mourn Tessa, with her getting killed by Sin in the process. And I'm sure that's what many other wanted as well. However, even if that's not what we got, I think what we did get was pretty good as well. Even if, it could have been better. I know, an actual positive analysis of Jay in episode 8, unheard of. But let's get into what she does this episode. First time we see her, she's with Sin. Just, being angry, I guess. She tries to kill Thad, Con, and Lizzie, but fails due to V saving them. This is where it actually gets interesting, as it shows a side to Jay we haven't really seen her have, other than with Tessa. They kinda yell at each other until Jay says the Solver tricked her and there's no escape even to death. This is of course referring to the fact that when disassembly drones under Sin's administration have their body destroyed, with no mana to repair it, it goes into full Eldritch mode and kills things to repair it. She cuts off V's leg and tries one more time to get her to switch sides, showing she doesn't want V to get hurt. She didn't do this for N, but she obviously has something against him. This could be because she's jealous of Tessa liking him a lot, I don't know. Just something to keep in mind, I guess. Anyway, V refuses and Jay says she never needed either of them. Cold, but whatever, Jay is being silly. Next time we see her, she helps him with the fight before promptly getting tossed away. And that's the last time we see her until the credits where she repairs the ship. Now, I got a lot to say on this, so it's gonna get its own section.
If I promised you anything, you tricked me too.
Now then, what I really wanted to talk about is her motive for staying with Sin, because a lot of people seem to think it's not justified. Jay is very scared. Sure, Sin killed Tessa and wore her skin, but what's she supposed to do about that by herself? She believes the Solver cannot be defeated and it's best to just go along with it, which she tries to convince V of as well. Also, since Jay is under Sin's administration, she is basically fully under her control if she decides. If she steps out of line, whoops, Jay is fully controlled, or she just gets killed off. And I don't think that's something anyone wants. So she just believes it's best for her to go with it. Even if she isn't happy, which, believe me, there are clues she's not happy with it. From her faces to the way she explains the situation to V, it's very clear that Jay does not want to be doing this. Now, this next point is just a little speculation, so don't take it too seriously. This is just something I wanted to throw in there. It's a little headcanon of mine. There's not really any evidence to back this up, but just thought I'd throw it in there. It's possible she sees it as the only semblance of Tessa she has left. Like, obviously that's a stretch, I know. I just think it's worth mentioning because it would be interesting even if it isn't likely. Anyways, back to the actual, stuff with evidence. All our heroes get a happy ending. And even Sin is still inside Uzi, but Jay is alone, rebuilding the ship with no one. Not N, not V, not Tessa, not even Sin. It's sad really because she didn't have a choice in the matter. Unlike N and V, Sin still had full control over her, and she could just sit and watch as she was manipulated, tricked, treated like an object to the Solver, and when it's all done, she doesn't get her happy ending. That is the tragedy of Jay. So, there you go. There's my analysis on Jay. Not often you see someone actually like the way Jay was portrayed in episode 8, even if it could have been much better. She probably is one of the most tragic characters in the show, so I'm glad I got to share my thoughts on it here. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe. It really does mean a lot, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!